Dang it, John Krasinski. You're just setting the tone right there. I remember one of the characters' names. There just happen to be monsters that can hear every sound that you make. Maybe Polar Express traumatized me a little bit. No thank you. That makes me uncomfy. Hi guys, welcome back to another Nerd Rants video. First off, I'm back in my room. They got the new flooring in, and I officially moved back in on Tuesday. It's nice to be back in my own setup again. It works way better than trying to set it up on a stack of pillows and all that weird stuff in the guest room. But that aside, yay. But yeah, oh man. Last Friday, my boyfriend and I, we got together just, as a last little, hey, let's hang out before you go to camp for the next week. We watched A Quiet Place Day 1. For those who don't know, I'm absolutely in love with this franchise. It's so good. The concept is original and the creatures look amazing and the acting is always so good. And this one was no exception. Part 1 and 2, amazing, so good. Love John Krasinski and Emily Blunt and the little family they created, and Cillian Murphy showing up and all. It's so good. Day 1 was also so good. Man. Dang it, John Krasinski. I don't think he wrote this or directed this one, but I saw in the credits he was involved. He produced or something for this one. So he was still involved, which is probably part of the reason it was still so good. But my gosh, guys. Honestly, I might like this one better than part 2. I love part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is my favorite. Quiet Place Part 1 is my favorite. Because it's the introduction and all the family dynamics, and John Krasinski's death is really, really sad. And then part 2, it's good. But not quite on the same level as part 1. This one I think exceeded part 2. Because it's literally the arrival of the aliens in New York City. So one of the loudest cities in America. It literally starts the film with just a panoramic shot of New York City with it produces this level of like this many decibels of sound in a day. And then they make that, it's like 90 decibels of sound. And then another line of text shows up and goes, and that is equivalent to a continuous scream. I'm like, you're just setting the tone right there. My gosh. It's so good. The acting is amazing. I either don't know the actors' names or I can't pronounce the actors' names. So I'm not going to try because I don't want to butcher their names. Well, so we're just going to say they're great. The characters are great. And in all honesty, oh man, full disclosure here. I remember one of the characters' names. Just one. There's like the two main characters, the black guy from the island in part 2, he shows up again, and you kind of get a little bit of like, here's where he was at day 1, and this is how he got to the island, is essentially what we get. And I don't remember his name. It's partially because I haven't watched part 2 in a while. I don't remember the main black lady's name. They also only say it like once. But I do remember Eric, who is her partner, her companion, we'll do it that way. None of those sound any less romantic in this day and age, but her companion, the guy she's surviving with. I remember his name, one, because it's super simple. We also have, like, we sort of make a bigger deal out of his introduction, because her introduction is very much in passing. Like, we just have the introduction, like, hey, here's where she's at before the attack. And her buddy sort of friend guy, anyway, complicated relationship. He just sort of in passing goes, hey, what's her name? How you feeling? Blah, blah, blah. That's what we get for an introduction from her. Whereas with Eric, he's following her around because he's terrified and he almost drowned in a flooded subway. And she finally just goes, okay, what the heck? What's your name? And so he tells her name and his name. And then they're following each other for a little bit. And she tries to get rid of him. He's like, nope, I'm staying with you. I'm not going out into this city by myself. I don't want to die. Yeah. It's so good. The acting, the story, it's so great. It was funny. So Google, has all of the little, like, here's articles or whatever else about stuff that you're talking about or watching on YouTube or whatever, because we're always watching you. Anyway, and one of the things that set up is a picture from day 1 with like the little headline thing. It's like, this one's not about the monsters. And I literally looked at it and said, are any of them though? None of them are about the monsters. They're about the people and their relationships and their interactions and their growth within this world where there just happen to be monsters that can hear every sound that you make and will murder you if you make them. It's not about the monsters. It has never been about the monsters. The monsters are awesome, but they are not the point of the story. That's my random spiel. Anyway, yeah, it's so freaking good. That's all I got for non-spoiler stuff. It's just, it's so freaking good. So if you haven't watched it, please do. I mean, if you enjoy horror movies at all, or if you're a Quiet Place fan, honestly, even if you're not, because it's not entirely connected to the other 2 movies, so you technically could watch this one first, I guess. Anyway, chronologically, I guess it would come first, but whatever. Yeah, now I'm going to be ranting about so many spoilers because, oh my gosh, it was fantastic. Okay. Spoilers. Yeah. If I was going to sum... My brain, at the end of it, came up with a 1-sentence summary about what this movie was. Or, I guess, yeah. If you've seen it, you'll understand. But it's literally a struggling cancer patient and a businessman on an epic quest to get a slice of pizza. That's the movie. Oh man, it's so good though. It's so good though. Yeah, we literally start by setting up, it's like, hey, she's got cancer. She's just chilling in basically a recovery hospice home with a bunch of other old people with problems and cancer and all of that. And she's, at this point, basically accepted death and just trying to distance herself from everyone and everything in existence. She's like, I don't like people. And her nurse guy, who's the one who introduces her, and then I don't know if her name is ever said again, in all honesty, convinces her to go into the city with them with the promise that they will get pizza, hence the epic quest for pizza later in the movie. And, you know, obviously go into the city. She's like, why did you bring me to a marionette show? Whatever. Leaves to like do her own thing. Aliens land and attack, and oh man, the chaos is a beautiful thing. One thing that's, because, you know, sound murdering monsters aren't scary enough. The first refuge, because she goes about, she's, you know, going to get pizza, so there's a lot of different like refuges she stays in. The first one is the theater where the marionette show was happening, and so there's scenes where she walks through a room and it's just full of puppets, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that she's walking through a room full of puppets, because that's, you know, marionette puppets are really scary, actually. Especially in horror movie settings. I don't know, maybe Polar Express traumatized me a little bit, but they're creepy. It's like probably the creepiest scene in the movie is her just walking through this room that's just full of marionette puppets hanging from the ceiling. I'm like, no thank you. That makes me uncomfy. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, hangs out with a bunch of people. She finds her nurse guy and the black guy from the island. I feel so bad I don't know his name. And I can't pronounce the actor's name, so he's just the black guy from the island. Sorry. But yeah, they hang out for a bit. We get to see the creatures and all of the death, and it's so good. This one might be the goriest one, just because they're in a city and it is the first day of the attack, so everyone's getting slaughtered all the time, and it's great. It's so good. So yeah, it's so dark, it's so gory, it's so violent. Yeah, and then she travels, finds some kids, helps them find the group of people that are going to evacuate. We don't know if they survive or not. She's really just wandering around helping people out, honestly. She's like, I'm going to get pizza. I'm going to pretend I don't care about people, but I'm going to help all of these people that I come across throughout my journey to get pizza, get out of the city, essentially. So she helps the kids, and then she tries to get Eric to go, and it's like, you need to go that way, the opposite direction from where I'm going. They have boats. And he's like, no, that's terrifying. I'm not doing that. And eventually gives in to him coming with her because he doesn't really give her a choice. But yeah, it's so good. I love it. The cat. Oh my gosh, the cat. First of all, it is some sort of superpowered sentient cat or something, because it makes literally no noise, like, ever. I get that it's a service cat, but oh my gosh. It's mind-boggling, the fact that I don't think it meows at all in the entire movie. So either this is a mute cat or it has superpowers of some kind, because oh my gosh, how? It also, I mean, it is a plot device, but I kept going back and forth about whether it was a positive plot device or a negative one. Like, the number of times it ran away and like led them to safety or led Eric literally into the heart of danger in like an alien nest. I couldn't decide if it was trying to kill them or trying to protect them. I mean, they did it well. It was kind of funny sometimes though, when the cat just runs away and they're just like, oh, okay, we'll follow you. You clearly know how to save. You clearly know what you're doing. You clearly know how to get to safety. We're just gonna follow the cat and let the cat lead us to safety. That was a little funny. But yeah. But the alien nest, it wasn't really a nest. It was more of a feeding ground, I guess. So it was full of, alien goop stuff. And for a little bit, I thought it was eggs, but no. One of the little bulb things exploded and basically released spores. And one of the aliens opened its face and ate the spores. So really, it's a feeding ground, not a nest. But, first of all, more alien lore. We love getting more lore for how they function, essentially. Oh, it's so good. Because we don't know how they figured out that they, can't swim. It could easily be just like, hey, one of these guys ran because they avoid water, or if one of them like fell in water and then couldn't get out or whatever and died. So it's easy enough for them to figure that out. We don't necessarily have to see how. But yeah, we have more of that because they're in a flooded subway tunnel trying to escape. And one of them follows them and they're just swimming and the water gets higher and higher. And then when it reaches the ceiling, the thing tries to swim, fails, and then just starts convulsing and drowning as it sinks to the bottom because it's like too heavy. I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, she's the main lady. Sorry, I can't remember the name of her, the actor. It's on the tip of my tongue for the actress, but I don't know. But anyway, her and Eric, their dynamic is wonderful. Their dynamic is wonderful. She literally saves his life and he's this terrified dude. And then, cancer patient, and she loses her meds, obviously. So she's getting weaker and weaker through the journey. And then it's like after the subway thing, they manage to pull themselves out of this flooded tunnel and end up in a church. And she's too weak to move. And she's like, I'm dying. I'm literally dying right now. Just go. And his response is, what meds do you need? And then he goes out after them. And that's when he ends up in the feeding ground area. But, Eric's the best. Eric is literally just the best. It reminds me of one of my OCs that I made for Heroes of Olympus story, that fanfic I created. He's such a coward, but if someone he cares about is in danger, he is suddenly the bravest person alive. And it's such a great dynamic within a personality. And that's who Eric is. And I love it so much because he's just a sweet little coward. But when the girl needs something, when the lady needs something, he goes out into the city by himself. I mean, with the cat, but by himself to find her meds and get them back, and literally hangs it. It's like on this metal beam because he has to go get the cat. But anyway, he's just on this metal beam right over top of one of these monsters. It literally goes underneath and its back scrapes the bottom of the beam. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. So Eric is just the best. Her character is interesting too, and I love how it develops and how she's trying to help people along the way. But Eric is the best. So good. Also, I will address the fact that one of the scenes from the trailer where it's the old guy turning off the generator and then he gets killed, that's not in the movie. Not with the old guy, at least. But I'm not mad about it because they made it sadder. Because they made it someone we actually know. Oh man, I totally saw it coming. Like, saw it coming. That stinking nurse. Right when she is befriending the nurse and accepting the fact that he is not her enemy and that he's there to help her and like growing in an actual relationship with him beyond nurse-patient relationship, the generator turns on and he runs and turns it off, and it's not necessarily the generator that triggers it. It's the fact that he literally rips his shirt on the generator because the lever is behind it. That makes sense. Who puts the lever for the shut-off lever for and the generator behind it? Who designs it that way? I know it's for plot, but like... Anyway, so that was sad. And that is kind of the trigger of her going to get pizza. Because she sort of jokingly goes, I'm going to go get pizza. And he's like, no, seriously? She's like, yeah. And he tries to talk her out of going. And then dies. So naturally she goes and gets pizza. Then we have Eric being all sweet when they finally get over to where she's trying to go to get pizza. And he's just sweet bean. Anyway, and then there's his escape. Their escape to one of the boats. One of the boats is going by, and they run down by the dock and have their whole plan to get out into the water so that they can get to the boat and escape. Yeah. Yeah, clearly things don't go as planned, because naturally, why would they go as planned? She has to cause a diversion. He takes the cat and gets to the boat. She escapes them, but doesn't get off the island out of the city. And then we end with him reading a note she left him in her sweater that she gave him. And he's reading it, and he's talking about, it's like, you brought me home. Thank you for bringing me home. It was great to see it again. We see her walking down the street, listening to music from her iPod that is plugged into one of those radio things, and she's got her headphones in, and he's reading the letter and whatever else. And then as it ends the letter, she's like, thanks for letting me see it one more time. And she stops in an intersection and she pulls the headphones out of the radio so that it's playing through the speakers, and she dies. I mean, we don't see her death, but we see one of the monsters drop down behind her. She dies. Like, great ending. Gah. I loved it. Just like the other two movies, it had me walking out of the theater being very much aware of all the noises that were happening around me, and not wanting to talk a whole lot on the walk to the car. Yeah. And on that note, I love how they emphasize sound in this one. Because we have, just the normal stuff, the attack, and then it's pretty quiet after the initial attack. And then she's walking down the street, and there's, the sea of people making their way down to the boats, and she's just hearing all the little noises of like their footsteps, and someone's pulling a suitcase, and like the wheels on the pavement and all of that, and she's hearing it so like louder than normal. It's so good. Also, the rainstorm. I love how they used the rainstorm, like the thunder, and it was beautiful and it was clever and I loved it. Yeah, I think that's all I got. I loved it so much. And the growth of the different characters and the way they dug more into the monsters themselves, and like the louder noises versus the softer noises, and her having the realizations like, hey, talk under the rain and we can, you know, have a conversation. And Eric, just in general, Eric. If Eric had died, I would have thrown a fit. I would have. Yeah. Those are my thoughts on Quiet Place Day 1. We can discuss more in the comments if you guys want, because, you know, this is kind of a quick run through. Anyway, share your thoughts, recommendations, requests, whatever in the comments. I post videos on this channel every Wednesday and Saturday, and on my audiobook channel on Thursdays. I'll see you all next time.